Did you know that when the black guys got the police called on them at Starbucks, they had only been there for 2 minutes? Literally, 2 minutes. They were here at 1:45 or 3:45, whatever the time was, 4:45, and the police were called on them by 47 of the same hour. 2 minutes. I thought for sure hours had transpired and they were just like, oh, we're not going, we're not buying nothing, we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. 2 minutes, fam? 2 minutes? How do you formulate an opinion about someone in 2 minutes? And that got me to thinking, and then since then, all these news stories about black people getting the police called on them have reminded me of old stories that I knew about. So yesterday or 2 days ago, the Waffle House video comes out. This black woman is getting arrested by the cops, and your body's exposed everywhere. And it turns out the argument or the dispute with the worker at Waffle House was over plastic utensils. She asked for plastic utensils, and the lady said those are 50 cents. And the woman said, I just was here, a week ago or so or whatever, and I got plastic utensils for free. And apparently they got into an argument, and she got the cops called on her. And when you boil it down to the bare minimum of activity, we calling the cops over utensils? What does a set of plastic utensils really matter in the world? Really, what does it really matter? Plastic utensils. This woman got, arrested all violently. Bra came off, shirt came off. That's going to be on the internet forever. For the rest of her life, that's on the internet. Over utensils? Like, seriously, people, the police have enough to worry about, okay? Let's stop involving them in things that don't need their involvement, because too often it ends up in videos like this or someone being killed. So in the golf course thing, a group of black women were playing golf a couple days ago, and they got the police called on them for playing too slowly. Like, fam, what? And apparently they golf all the time. They're in a group of golfers, so they're aware of the rules of golfing. So the first time they got, the people came and talked to them, they just skipped a hole so they couldn't be accused of playing slowly. Apparently in golf, you have to keep pace with the players that are on the course. So people ahead of you, you got to keep ahead so people behind you can keep going. Just like mini golf. You don't take forever. That's the idea. So they skipped a hole to keep pace. And then on the ninth hole, apparently people take breaks, have a drink, chat for whatever. They were sitting down taking a break when they were asked to leave. And when they resisted, the cops were called on them. And the dudes behind them were having beers. So they're like, fam, these dudes are chilling. Like, what do you mean? And people can play through. Somebody said that. And that's when we're like, if there's somebody behind us, they can play through. And the cops end up being called. So I'm like, I actually saw an article last week about this, and it just sparked this in my mind. I'm going to read you some other ones that the police have been called from black people for. And these come from Reddit, where police started the thread and said, can y'all stop calling the police on black people for doing these things? This one police officer said that he got a call from a black man about black people who are acting suspiciously. So when he pulls up, he's expecting somebody walking around with a crowbar or a flashlight or something like that. And he pulls up, and it's two black guys at 9:30 a.m. jumping their car. That was the suspicious activity. Jumping their car at 9:30 in broad daylight. You know how annoyed you have to be for the police to be like, fam, stop. Fam, what about that is unusual to anyone? I said I wanted to have a good day. Let me just get through these because it's so upset. Remember a couple years ago, 2015, the police were called on those kids for having a pool party in the middle of summer, like 3 p.m., and the black girl was like slammed into the concrete by the police officer. He put his knees all in her back, all in her head for having a pool party in the summer, fam. Like, kid, I get it if it's midnight, 1 a.m., people are loud. It's 3 o'clock in the summer. Like, weren't you a kid before? When I was young and in middle school, we went to the pool every single day in the summertime. I never thought the police would get caught on me for swimming, fam. Okay, swimming. A couple years ago, Henry Louis Gates Jr., who's a professor, I think it was professor at Harvard, had the police caught on him and he was arrested. His crime, going into his own house. Neighbors in the neighborhood called the police on him because they said he was suspicious. He shouldn't be in that neighborhood. He lived in that neighborhood. Call the police on them. Okay? The last one that I mentioned, because I was doing research and then I just had to stop. It's a black guy. This is back to the police thread where the police were like, stop calling the police on black people for being black. The guy was fishing in a community pond. Okay? Police get called on him. The officer comes up and the black dude says, let me guess, one of my racist neighbors called the police on me. He shows his license. He lived in this neighborhood for 10 years. He tells the officer every once in a while, people just call the police on me. I'm used to it. Now, here's the thing. Number one, also, Stephon Clark, who was shot to death in his backyard a couple weeks ago in Sacramento, white people called the police because they heard breaking glass and saw a black man in a hoodie. That's why it's dangerous to call the police when it's an activity that doesn't warrant it. Like it or not, agree or disagree, black people's interactions with the police are more often going to end in violence than other races. So when you get afraid and you call the police and you think you're doing your just due or you're scared or whatever, when that black person interacts with the police, their chances of having a gun drawn on them, a taser pulled on them, getting arrested is much higher than other people. Okay? So if you could just not, that'd be great. Okay? If you could just not, that'd be fantastic. True story. My wife and I, we're all on tour last week in Orlando. And this is how this messes with your mind as a person. So we're walking after the show. We walk from our hotel. We're walking through this mall that's closed. We're not through this mall, through the parking lot of this mall to go to the Cheesecake Factory. A security guard pulls up, right? We can't see inside the car who the security guard is. My wife is automatically afraid. She's like, oh my God, Kevin, just be calm. Just relax. Don't make any sudden movements. Just relax. And I'm like, so our tour producer this time was a woman named KB. She goes and talks to the guy in the window. Okay. And Melissa's just like, Kev, just remain calm. Okay. If we have to go eat at the hotel, it's going to be fine. Just relax. I'm like, Liz, we're not doing anything wrong. We're not breaking the law. We're just going to eat. She's like, I know, it's just, just chill. You know what the security officer was? Black dude. This dude was offering us a ride. He was talking to our tour producer and he was saying, hey, the restaurant you guys are trying to go to, it's you can walk there, but it's far. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys a ride and then I'm going to call my partner and he's going to give you guys a ride. So all he wanted to do was get us to the Cheesecake Factory earlier. And the fact that my wife was terrified just shows what it's like to be black. Okay? This user just said, I blocked him, but he said, stop being criminals. Simple. And that's the ideology that leads to this video and leads to these things. It's white people who assume that black people have criminal intentions, no matter what they're doing. You just assume that we're doing something illegal. You assume that we shouldn't be here. We assume that there's some ulterior motive. And then the police are assuming the same thing. So they're quick to pull their guns. And that's why Stephon Clark is dead. And the neighbor who called the cops on him just said, oh, I'm never going to call 911 again. Wow. Well, thanks. Too bad somebody's dead now. And there's no recourse when you call the cops on somebody and they end up dead. That mentality leads to death. Me and my boys, Doughboy, a couple of us were walking from ADD downtown to the parking garage. And for whatever reason, there was a line of 12 cops, 6 on each side. They were just waiting there. We had to walk through them. There's cops on either side of us. We had to walk through them, okay? We were laughing, joking, having a good time. We see the cops. Everybody's quiet. We just walk through. Get on the other side of the cops. And I told Doe, I was like, yo, I didn't even realize I was holding my breath. And he was like, man, I was holding my breath too. I was tripping and I wasn't even doing anything wrong. And Pat was saying the same things like, bro, why do we feel like we can't even walk? We weren't doing anything. We just got off work, literally walking from our job to our car in the middle of the day. And we were just like, and I hate to feel like that. Can y'all stop? Even when you call 911, they say, is this an emergency? If it's not, call someone else. Okay? Tamir Rice killed for playing with a toy gun in a park because somebody called the cops on him. And they said on the line, apparently, the gun might be a toy. That information was not relayed to the police. The police pull up and shoot him within 2 seconds of their arrival. There are consequences to these calls. At minimum, an arrest. At minimum. But it can end in death. So can you just, if you're watching this, here's the thing that's funny about this. If you're watching this and you're not black, you're probably saying to yourself, I would never, I'm not racist. And you know what? The same thing is probably said by the people who call the police. They probably don't feel racist. They probably don't feel wrong. They probably feel like they're just doing their just desserts. Can you just think twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before you call? Can you just think? Okay? I think when you're not black and you see white kids doing that same thing, you give them the benefit of the doubt because you think, oh, if that was me, I mean, I'm probably not doing anything. When the person's black, there's no benefit of the doubt. That's the same. That's what happens often in the judicial system. Oh, boys will be boys. They're just kids. You know how it was. You see yourselves in people that look like you, but you don't see the humanity in people who don't look like you. You see crime and fear in people who don't look like you, but when people look like you, you're like, oh, I'm not even tripping. That's the unfair assumption. When they don't look like you, there ain't no benefit of the doubt. There's no thoughts. There's no second chance. They got to be doing something wrong. Police, can you get here? Oh, man. To be black in America, it can be argued that black people of color, love America more because we got to deal with America how it really is. Not what you think it is, not how, when you're not a minority, America works totally different for you. Like people treat you with respect. You're able to, I could not imagine talking back crazy to the police. I see people talking crazy to the police. I'd be like, fam, couldn't be me. And I hate that about myself. I hate that I don't feel like I can express myself, but I'm not trying to get killed. And that's a real, legit fear. You don't know me. You don't see me. You got a gun on your waist. You're trying to shoot up the place. Now, I don't got time to die. I got to go to my son's soccer game. My birthday is next week. I'm trying to be around for that. So anyway, God bless you. God keep you. See you at the conference.